Well, hello and good morning, and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. You may notice that I'm in a slightly different space. I'm up here in not so sunny Stoke-on-Trent, and this morning is all about motivation in tough times. So, where do these motivations start from, and why even listen to them? So, the first thing I want to say is that in life, many of us go through lots of ups and sometimes some downs as well. And here's the thing, sometimes people don't always tell you whether they're on an up or whether they're on a down. So today's Monday motivation, very specifically, is to help navigate those tough times. So I just want to acknowledge those of you who are jumping on so quickly. So thank you for waiting as well, because I was a few minutes late trying to get everything set up here. So I want to say good morning and wave at Alan. And good morning and wave at Faye. And for those of you I can see hopping on, hopping off, thank you for watching, thank you for joining. So the most important thing to know about this Monday motivation message is really pleased to share it. And here's the reason why. This for me isn't about how many likes or how many shares. This for me is having messages of motivation, specifically of self-motivation, reaching people who might not have even thought to look here for it. So by you sharing this on your timeline, your personal timeline, it helps other people to know that A, this thing exists, and B, it can catch them at a time where they are just going through something that you don't even know about, and they can be motivated. And you know, it's fair to say that these Monday motivations started back in 2008 while I was still working in financial services, and it's grown from there. It started off as an email and then went to a little motivational message, and then 3 years ago I decided to bring them to life and actually show up live at 7 a.m. every Monday to do these Monday motivations. So to the birthday crew, it seems, that are on, because it seems that many of us have our birthdays in June. Oh, look at my hair sticking up as usual. Wouldn't be me, would it, without my hair sticking up? So I want to acknowledge you for watching live. I want to acknowledge you and invite and encourage you, as you're watching this, to type any thoughts that come up for you here. However, just so that you know, this is done on my public profile, the Queen of Being Seen, which means that anyone watching this, whether they participate or not, can see your comments. However, if there are comments that you want to make to continue this conversation, I invite you to join the Visibility Vibes Tribe group. It's a Facebook group which is a closed group, and means that any comments that you share can only be seen, or any posts that you share can only be seen by other people who are in that group. It means that if you've got stuff around, I don't want my friends and family to see what I'm doing in my business or what I'm doing out there in the world, then by all means, continue the conversation there. It's a nice, I think, rather soft and warm place to land. So, tough times, motivation for tough times, which doesn't just, of course, have to be on a Monday. Thank you for sharing, Faye, and doesn't have to be at 7 a.m. In order to deliver this, I actually thought back of a couple of particular tough times that I went through, in my own life, and what I did to navigate them. And there were so many different things that I did that worked really well for me. So the first thing I want to say is, do the stuff that works for you. These were 5 of the best kind of like techniques, if you like, because not only did they work for me during those particular times, but also they've worked really well with clients and had some really great results. And this is personal development, and for me, personal development means really taking a deeper dive into who you are as a person. So the first one that I want to share, and I have 5 of them, so the first one that I want to share: when you're going through life and it suddenly blindsides you, it could be news that you learn of from somebody else, it could be something that's happening to you or with you, it could be something that's happening within your family unit. It actually, the thing that's happening actually isn't irrelevant here. The thing that's important to note is when you feel like the wind's literally been taken out of your sails. This is when you know that this stuff is like the first aid kind of green cross, if you like, of navigating the next few days. So the first the first tip that I would share is to take it step by step. Like, what does that mean? And I've written my things down here, but take it step by step. Like I say, I've taken these from my own experiences in life, and in order to try and really get crystal clear in delivering this message, I'm thinking of one specific time. So this one specific time goes back to 2006, 2007, where I was still working. You know, I was a senior manager, I had a team of people I had to look after, I had lots of projects on the go, I had responsibilities to other people, mainly the board, mainly the sales and marketing team, and, you know, responsibility to my staff as well. And I had to go into work. I couldn't phone up and pretend that I was ill or sick or anything else like this. But I was really going through something quite tough. And I remember a friend saying to me, like, take it slowly. And what transpired for me was that taking it step by step, literally at points meant minute by minute. People say take it day by day, take it, you know, hour by hour, take it week by week. But I actually was in such a place, and I don't know if this resonates with any of you, if you've ever been in a place where you're just like, I can't handle this, I don't think I can handle this. And I literally, minute by minute. Now, what I mean by the step by step, minute by minute, it wasn't about me trying to change anything step by step or minute by minute. It was about me knowing that all I had to do in that space in time was look after myself for the next 60 seconds. And then when those 60 seconds were up, it was knowing that I had the next 60 seconds and then the next. There was nothing about me chasing forward, forging ahead, you know, trying to, I'll be good for this amount of time. It was literally living in the moment. So for those of you that practice being present, this is another area of focus, and it's self-focus. So it was just a case of living in that moment, knowing that I was going to be able to just navigate the next 60 seconds. And, you know, if it doesn't feel too much of a stretch, the next 60 minutes, and just going through step by step. So first tip is take it step by step. So here's the next tip. Closely followed by the first tip, when you're allowing yourself to go through something step by step, then the next thing is to allow yourself to feel whatever's coming up, you know. I was reminded of this by speaking to a friend recently who's going through a really, really tough time. And one of the things that I think in personal development anyway sometimes gets slightly distorted is this thought that we have to gloss over stuff, that if we're feeling bad, we're not allowed to feel bad. If we're feeling down, we're not allowed to feel down. We've got to do whatever it takes to elevate ourselves, push ourselves up, be out there, be smiling, be happy. And that simply isn't the case. And here's what I learned from the second step. Allowing myself to feel the thing in the moment. And this was similar to the advice that I gave the friend very recently. Sometimes we're not feeling great about something. And our job isn't just to push it out of the way and try and make ourselves feel better and brush it off our shoulder. Our job is just to sit with it, allow ourselves to feel the thing that we're feeling. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Jenny, why would you do that? You know, when you're going through something, the thing to sit and feel, allow ourselves to feel, is the emotion that's coming up. And quite often we don't do it because we're scared that we're going to go down some sort of rabbit hole and never come out again. You know, and I've experienced this personally with grief. I've experienced this with redundancy. I've experienced this with heartbreak, you know, relationship splits, all sorts of different things. And you know, some things that are quite tough to handle. When we allow ourselves to feel what we feel in the moment, it might be anger, it might be extreme sadness, it might be a feeling of hopelessness. When we allow ourselves to feel what we can feel within that moment without pushing it to one side, without trying to negate what we're feeling now, it actually gives us an insight. Now, I would stress that at this stage, if you're going through a particularly tough time, allow the thing to come up. And if you're a person that likes to journal or write, just write down what that thing is coming up, and don't try and do anything around it. Don't try and go for the opposite. Don't try and push it away or get it out of your life. Just notice what comes up. You know, one particular sorry, my voice is going all croaky this morning. One particular thing that I spoke to somebody about recently, they were going through a feeling of loneliness. They just sort of, had a big relationship split. And they were still in the place, which is fine, of, I don't know if things are ever going to be the same again, how am I going to move past this? What am I going to do? And not feeling really great about where they were currently. And the thing that is important here is, after something like this has happened, you will experience a myriad of emotions. And if we try and gloss them over, numb them out, drink, go out all the time, ignore, negate what we're feeling, it's really hard to know what it's trying to tell us. That feeling of discomfort is actually, for many people, very physical in the body. It's our body telling us, I don't feel too great. Morning, Frances. I don't feel great about something. And those feelings that come up, if we try and push them down, ignore them, or anything else like this, we never really get to the heart of what's going on. Now, so for this one particular person I was speaking to, after the split, really all roads, all the kind of feelings were really leading to loneliness and but what if this happens, and but what if that? So if you are going through a particularly tough time and you're not feeling great about it, allow yourself to feel it, and all the but what ifs, actually write them down. Because when we allow them to come up, we often go, I don't want to think about it, don't even want to go there, don't want to think about it. If we allow the but what ifs to come up, it's almost like we take them out of the darkness, we can put them into the light, and two things normally happen. Number one, we can see what the thing is, what the fear is. And number two, when you bring something out of the dark and put it into the light, normally it loses its scariness, So do this not to try and transform or change anything, but just to allow yourself to feel the thing. Write it down, and especially if you're a person that likes to journal. If you're more slightly introverted, you'll find that this is actually a useful practice. If you're extroverted, you'll find that you'll want to just write down a bullet point and then move on to something else, Neither is right or wrong, good or bad. They are all as effective as each other. So point 2, allow yourself to feel it and notice what the feeling is. Don't try and gloss it over, just notice what it is. Third thing, and this often feels counterintuitive, is to reach out. There will always be someone or some people in your life that will be literally waiting to hear you say, I need to talk, I need your help. And what's interesting about this particular one is it feels counterintuitive. I think of the time when I was going through it. Thank goodness there was one particular person that I knew would be a good person to speak to. I didn't want to speak to anybody. I kind of just wanted to hole in and go within myself. But thankfully I reached out to the person and said, can we talk about X? And we did. And just being able just to get the words out of my mouth, almost out of my body, was so helpful. And even though it doesn't feel like the thing that you want to do, find that one somebody. Sometimes it's somebody that you know well, and often it's a complete stranger. And this is one of the things I like about community. In the Vibes Tribe, over the years, people have been in there and been active in the group, and they get to meet out and things like that. The person you reach out to might be somebody in the group who has said something that's indicated to you that, I think they know what I'm going through here. Reach out to them. It could be a stranger. If you're in the UK, it could be the services of the Samaritans. There are many other organisations that support people going through different particular things. It could be mental health issues, either theirs or somebody around them. It could be grief, it could be, relationship, it could be a family issue, it could be a health issue. There is always somebody. And here's the thing, when we don't reach out, We feel it's counterintuitive. We might feel like, well, nobody is going to understand, and that is very rarely true. Sometimes you don't need somebody to understand. You don't even need somebody to comment on it. You just need to be able to say it without being judged, without anybody coming back whether you should do this, that and the other. You just need to be able to speak it out. And that is one of the most helpful things that you can do, even though it might feel like you want to do completely the opposite. So definitely reach out. That's number 3. Number 4, process first, post next. What do I mean by that? We've come into a day and age where social media is so prevalent in many of our lives. And, you know, I heard a message yesterday, actually on Radio 1, which I was so pleased to hear. Sometimes social media gets a bad rap for being the place where, look at my life, it's so glossy and great and everything else. And, you know, if you're finding that you're going onto your social media and feeling like everybody has got everything so worked out or everything's so perfect and you're not feeling that, the thing isn't to diss social media and say, that's it, I've had enough. The thing is to ensure that the people you're connected to and connected with on social media do feed you, so that all the messages that you receive, all the things that you see are in alignment with how you feel about the world. And this is super important, because if you're going into work or you've got your own business and you're going through a particularly tough time, you don't need all of those sort of additional messages that you don't believe in, they don't feel good to you, or they will just rock you or knock you. Surround yourself with the sort of people and messages and companies that really will light your soul, literally. Now, one of the kind of backlashes to this I see is there are some people, you know, and they call it authenticity, but actually, is it? And this is where they're going through something maybe personal, usually not great, and they decide, without even processing it for themselves first, to blurt it out on social media. So, you know, if you, and I've seen this, I saw somebody go through a particularly horrific marriage split, and, you know, they'd only just had the conversation and posted straight on social media. And it was a bit like, oh my gosh, has somebody got a friend that can support that person right now? They're angry. They're going to regret putting that post and giving so much of that personal information out there. So if you are going through something, especially if there's a great deal of surprise, shock, horror, anger, which are all parts of the bell curve, all the different feelings and emotions that we feel on the bell curve, process first. Don't use social media as an outlet just to spray something and then kind of run away and leave it there, because that's not really serving you. So process first, post next. And then the 5th one is notice when somebody isn't themselves. Now, this is especially, have you had times, I know that I certainly have, where maybe you've been part of a group, maybe you've seen somebody online and you've just thought, they've been a bit quiet recently, or something doesn't seem right. This has happened a number of times. You know, I see it sometimes in the community, in the Vibes tribe. And whenever that happens, I reach out. I do this with friends. Maybe it's a friend you've been thinking about. I must catch up with them. And then, like, you'll send them a text message or something like that. So when and this is one that's really for you, for someone else too. If you notice that somebody isn't themselves, never ever be afraid to reach out to them. You can write to them, you can email them, you can text them, you can send them a message if it's a social media connection. Reach out and just say, you know, maybe things have been a bit quiet recently. Is everything okay? Or I've noticed you've been posting a lot of things on social media which, you know, just made me concerned. Like, are you okay? Do you know, would you like to talk at some point? The best thing you can do is just to pick up the phone. Very retro, very old school, I know. Pick up the phone. Now, this applies if you're working in an office space, because a majority of my clients work for companies, work for businesses. So they'll be going through some heavy going stuff and going into work like nothing's happened. So if it's a work colleague, send them an email. Pick up the phone, call their extension, go over to their desk, ask them to come and join you for a morning coffee for your morning break, or spend lunchtime with them. You know, I remember doing this for people when, you know, I was working for a particular organisation. We were in lovely grounds. I'd send them an email and say, what are you doing for lunch today? Let's meet up and have lunch. we would go out, we would, we'd get something to eat, we'd walk along these beautiful grounds. Sorry, I'm getting things jump up. We'd walk around these beautiful grounds, and not only kind of the fresh air and the exercise and being able to just speak, but just coming out of a different environment and having a different perspective on it. And you might be that person that like literally throws somebody a lifeline. I'm a big fan of saying to people, if you need anything, reach out. But sometimes when the you-know-what hits the fan, it's actually quite difficult for that person to reach out. I remember in 2010 when I was going through my own personal grief experience, I felt sometimes like I was literally speechless. People were sending me messages saying, if you ever need anything, give me a ring. And it's like I could have physically, operated my phone, made the phone call, but it was like I wanted to speak and my mouth just kind of went, no words came out. So I think as well as offering that to people, it's really important to reach out and notice when someone else is going through something and advise them to keep close. Now, it might be you reach out to them, it might be that you reach out to your community. And again, this is why even within my business, and one of the elements of my business is creating community where you can all speak to each other, you can all stay connected. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group. It's a really warm place for you to land where you get a bit of, time spending with people who think in a similar way to you, who, when you're feeling down, you can say, look, this is how I'm feeling, and they will encourage you without being told to encourage you. Even when you want what feels like a big goal, there'll be the people in your life that will go, you can absolutely do this. I know you can. We're here for you. And they will support you. Whereas other areas of your life, people might be saying, oh, you're such a daydreamer. I don't know why you think you can do that. The person saying that might even be you. So take it step by step. Number one, minute by minute sometimes. Step two, allow yourself to feel it. Don't push it down. Don't try and, slap something, a positive spin on anything. Reach out. It feels counterintuitive, but reach out. Process it first. If it's a thing that's kind of really driven you to anger, process it first and then post about it later. And number five, notice when someone isn't themselves and really reach out to them. And if that's you and you feel able to, just say, when someone says, how are you? Like, how are you really? Rather than what I've done in the past, oh, I'm great, thank you, everything's fine. Say, actually, no, this isn't great for me. I'm going through something at the moment and I need to speak about it. You can even speak about the thing without actually going into the details of the thing. You can say, look, I need to talk to you. I'm going through a really rough time at the moment with something. It's something personal, involves my family or whatever the thing is, and speak to somebody about it. So I really hope that that's been useful. And I know this seems like a strange subject for a Monday motivation, but quite often we are going through something and it feels really dense, it feels really heavy. And if we can almost like fight our way out of that paper bag with just a few nuggets of things that we can do for ourselves, it makes it easier then sometimes for us to reach out. So thank you so much for joining me live on this Monday morning, and I look forward to any sort of comments and people that are watching back on the replay. This is one that you might want to kind of like mark and come back to. And thank you for those of you who have been sharing that already. I so appreciate you. Today is my coaching day and the end of 5 days of a video challenge. So I'm going to be doing a combination of personal coaching with people and going through and commenting on the videos and checking in with clients and various things like that. I love Mondays. I absolutely adore it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all had a really great weekend with whatever you did. And I look forward to continuing the conversation over in the Visibility Vibes tribe. So Francelise says, thank you. Yes, really useful. Definitely going to do some journaling. Absolutely. Absolutely. And such a good place to start is I ask myself the question, what's this really about for me? And I just allow the things that even you might not want to hear yourself to come up. They're in there. You can tell because that's what your body is telling you. It feels funny. So, and not funny in a great way. So good luck with the journaling. And, you know, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and, you know, keep connected, maybe in the Visibility Vibes tribe. And for those of you in the inner circle, again, you've got a space that you can speak and share in there too. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.